Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second day of the Citizenship Unit. Last time we met, we talked about what is a citizen, where it's found in the Constitution, and what are the requirements for naturalization. Today, we're going to move on to the next step. As a citizen, what are the duties and responsibilities that we have? We're going to break those down for you. Our first question is, how can people demonstrate that they are good citizens? Well, by knowing and understanding your duties and responsibilities. Duties are required actions or something the citizen must do, or else you will face legal consequences like going to jail or becoming fined. Responsibilities, on the other hand, are helpful actions, something citizens should do but don't have to. These are things that help your community out and help make our country better. Again, you should do them, but they're not required. Let's look at some of the duties. What are all citizens required to do? Citizens are required to complete their duties. There are only 4 of them. Now, that's important to remember because as we move forward, if you can remember the 4 duties, responsibilities will always be easier to know. The first duty is to obey the law. Think of it this way. If you don't obey the law, you face a consequence, like a fine or jail. Our second duty is you have to pay your taxes. If you do not pay your taxes, you can also be fined or jailed. Many celebrities get into trouble because they don't pay their taxes. Then they end up going to jail. Wah, wah, wah. Our third duty is to serve in the armed forces if called upon. That means you could be drafted. All citizens at the age of 18 have to register for the Selective Service, which means in case we go to war and we need troops, our nation can draft us. Again, we haven't drafted anybody since the Vietnam War. Our fourth duty is to serve on a jury or as a witness in court. To serve on a jury, they select 12 people to listen to a case, a trial. They have to decide the outcome. Most times, a jury has to have a unanimous decision. That means that all 12 jurors have to agree. Ask Mr. Tyborowski about his jury duty experience when you're in class. He has a funny story about it. There are also times when you have to serve as a witness in court. For instance, say you watch a car accident happen in front of your eyes. You may be asked to come to court to testify. They'll swear you in, just like in the picture here, and you will have to tell what you saw. If you don't go to either jury duty or as a witness in court, you will be fined or held in contempt, which means you'll sit in jail for a little while. So again, a little fact. Citizens that choose not to fulfill these civic duties face legal consequences. That's what makes these duties and things that you have to do. Some of the consequences that you can face are being fined, being held in contempt, or put in jail. None of these are things that I want to have happen to me. So moving on, we know our duties. Our duties are things that we absolutely have to do or we get in trouble. But what are things, extra things, that all citizens are supposed to do? Again, not required. Well, these are your responsibilities. The responsibilities of citizens. There are a few of these. We're going to go through them, but you have to understand responsibilities are not required. If you don't do them, you will not face a legal consequence. So, the basic responsibility of citizens in citizenship is to contribute to the common good of our nation. Civic responsibilities are fulfilled by choice. They are voluntary. That means you don't have to do all of these. The first one is to register and vote. Did you know that you don't have to vote if you don't want to? There are many people in our nation that actually do not vote. If they did, we might have a whole different society. The second one is to hold an elective office, like these guys here. You recognize them? These are our former presidents. They held an elected office. They ran for an office to help out the common good of our nation. Again, something you do not have to do unless you want to. Our third one is citizens influence the government by communicating with government officials. Anytime you see something wrong in your community, in your state, or in the nation, you can communicate with government officials. You can send letters, write them emails, call them on the phone. They're there to represent your interests, so they're going to listen to you. If you send an email or a letter to one of your representatives, they will write you back because that is their job. They're there to represent you. The fourth one is something that we talked about earlier this year. Volunteering. Volunteering is a great way to help your community. Giving up some time to help others always helps make your community a better and safer place. Again, not something you have to do, but it is nice to do so. Our fifth one is to serve in appointed positions. Sometimes people are appointed to positions by the president or the governor, or people in power. If you are appointed or asked to be a part of something, it is good to participate with them. For instance, currently we have a hearing in the Senate for our next Supreme Court justice. The next Supreme Court justice was appointed by the president. She considers it a great honor to be in that position, so she is doing everything she can to help out her nation. The sixth one is to participate in political campaigns. Most political parties are always looking for volunteers to help out and elect their candidate. Anyone's able to participate in political campaigns. Again, not something you have to do, but it does help out and helps get your voice heard. Next one is to keep informed about current events, something we do every Monday. We want you to read the news. It's important to know what's going on in your nation. Again, there are people who do not read the news and don't really care what's going on, and that's fine. They're entitled to that. But it is good to know what's going on in your nation, in your community, and in your state, so you know what's happening and what could happen to you and what could happen next. The more you're informed, the more you're prepared for what could happen. And the last one, respect others' rights to freedom of expression and an equal voice in government. Respecting each other's rights to freedom of expression is very important. Understanding that people have different ideas and opinions than you, and being able to respect those opinions is very important to lead us to a civil society. Just because somebody doesn't have the same ideology or ideas that you have doesn't mean they're wrong. By respecting each other and their ideas, it helps promote a nice, equal society where everyone's voice can be heard without being muted. Now, just a quick review. Our duties on the left side of the screen here are things you have to do. If you know those four, the rest, the responsibilities, will always come easier. And always think of it this way. Am I going to go to jail if I don't do this? If the answer is no, then it's a responsibility. If you say yes, it's a duty. So our duties are obey the law, pay the taxes, serve in the armed forces if called upon, and serve on a jury or as a witness in court. On the other side, your responsibilities, things you don't have to do, but you should: register and vote, hold an elective office, communicate with government officials, volunteer, serve in an appointed position, participate in political campaigns, keep informed about events, and respect others' rights to equal voice. So, hopefully I clarified the difference between a duty and a responsibility. Remember, your duties are things that will put you in jail if you do not do them. Responsibilities, people might just glare at you, but nothing bad will happen. I hope you enjoyed. Please fill out your organizer and get ready to play the iCivics game when you're done.